there friends, and thanks for joining me again. And today I want to talk to you about selling your house. So when it comes time to sell your house, there are basically two ways that you can go about selling it. You can hire a real estate professional to help you sell it, or you can sell it for sale by owner, which also is FSBO, just as the acronym. So I didn't realize what a raging debate there was about what the best way to sell your house was until I got into this market, this real estate, profession. So a lot of people will try to avoid having to pay a commission fee by selling it themselves. But is that really the best way to go to get the highest price for your property? And also there are other things to consider, how long is it going to take to sell, and what is going to be the easiest way to go? These sorts of things. And if you sell it yourself, is it really going to be worth all of that hassle and all of that money that you're going to save? So I would like to talk to you today about what the best way to sell your house might be to make sure that you're going to net the most amount of money in your pocket at the end. There are a whole bunch of statistics that I found. Most of them came from NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and they track how much houses sell for, how long they take to sell, just the days on the market until they're offered, days until, they close or they sell, the prices of the houses in the areas, So they keep track of all of these statistics, and that's where I got a lot of this information. The first one that I would like to talk about is the fact that FSBOs are sort of a declining market. So way back in, I think it was 08 or 09, somewhere in there, FSBOs took up about 14% of all of the houses that were selling. And then later on, in 2015, the most recent statistics I could find, unfortunately, it had declined all the way down to just 8% of all houses sold were from FSBOs. And when I looked at the rest of the statistics, it was really obvious as to why this was, why people had, exploded into trying to sell their own houses, and then the whole thing has continued to kind of go downhill from there. Unfortunately, and this is probably the biggest one, is that FSBO properties sell for less money, and it's a lot less money. So it accounts for about 10 to 12% less that you end up getting for your house when you try to sell it on your own than when you have an agent helping you sell it. So if you have commission fees, which typically come in around 6%, for most brokerages anyway, so there'll be 3% that goes to the person who's helping sell and then 3% to the buyer's agent. Well, when you consider that it would cost you 6% or you get 10 to 12% less selling it yourself, you're doing a whole lot of extra work, and then in the end you actually net less money in your pocket. So it may very well be that it is totally, completely not worth trying to sell on your own when you know that you're going to probably get a lot less money. And having worked with some FSBO sellers here recently, I have found that a lot of them get a lot of looky-loos, a lot of people who are just coming to tour, and people who want to just play house hunters. So that's probably very frustrating for them. And then additionally, the people who do make offers tend to either be investors and they want a deal on the property, or just bargain hunters in general, people who just want a cheaper, property. So they overcompensate for the fact that it's a FSBO, and they'll offer a drastically lower price because of it. And so I believe that that's the two reasons why FSBOs tend to get less money for their property in the end. And a lot of times when they get these sort of offers and they're well below their asking price and all these low balls, eventually they think, well, this is the best I'm going to get. If this is what I'm going to get through an agent, then I'll really be walking away from the closing table with very little money. But they don't realize that if they would have just put it on the market, they would probably get more money for their property by doing so. So again, this was probably the biggest. Number two, they sell for less money. Number three would be that they can take a lot longer to sell. Frequently, it can even be twice as long from the time that they first, are advertised until they actually sell, as a property that goes onto the market with an agent. So if you're in any kind of a hurry to sell, FSBO is definitely not the way to go. It'll just take a whole lot longer before you can finally get it sold. 70% of FSBO sellers said that they had significant difficulty selling their home. Let me read off of the statistics here. So they say the common complaints were understanding and performing the paperwork, the legal requirements, because there are a lot of them. That could almost be a thing on its own. Getting the right price for the property, helping buyers to obtain financing, And then, you know, attracting potential buyers. So a lot of marketing, you know, things. They just don't know where people are, you know, going to be looking for their houses. So they don't know where to put them when they do advertise. Selling within the planned length of time, that one makes sense. And then having enough time to devote to all of the aspects of the sale. I was just talking to a lady who's selling her house FSBO yesterday, and she said that it feels like a full-time job between, you know, emailing everyone back and answering the phone and calling people back and setting the appointments and having people come through and, you know, all these different things. I can totally see it. I could totally see it being a full-time job for her. So yes, it takes an awful lot of time. All of these things are easily taken care of with a real estate professional because we have connections when it comes to helping people obtain that financing. We can kind of vet people, so to speak, to make sure that when we're showing a house that we are going to make sure nobody is coming through that house who isn't fully qualified to buy that house. A lot of the legal, you know, logistics of it, we have insurance that we have to take care of on our own, and so we actually are able to help shield the sellers from a lot of legal liabilities that they may incur on their own through things that might come up. And a lot of times I've been looking through these advertisements and there are things that they're putting in their advertisements that are illegal. They don't apply to the fair housing laws, and so yeah, there are a lot of logistics to it that, you know, I really feel like if a FSBO seller were to go through an agent that they would greatly benefit from, you know, having gone through that agent instead of trying to do it on their own. So as you can see, there are a lot of things to consider when it comes to selling your house, and I don't necessarily think that there is any right way. I do believe that there are times when somebody who really does know all of the ins and outs of selling their house, you know, and has a really aggressive marketing plan, they can, you know, actually get their house sold and in a good amount of time and for a really good price. But I believe that in general, again, according to the statistics, most of the people who do attempt to go FSBO end up listing with an agent in the end. And most of the people who actually do continue with the sale and, you know, finish that out, they are unhappy with the way that it went anyway. So you may end up wanting to go ahead and list with an agent instead of trying to sell your house FSBO, because in the end you'll get the best price for your property. It'll sell in the least amount of time and probably with the least amount of hassle and the least amount of time, you know, on your part. So anyway, hopefully this video was helpful to you. So if you're considering selling your house, like, hopefully this can help net you the most amount of money in your pocket in the end. So thanks for watching. I'm Frugal Brain Girl, and we'll see you next time.